Hey comic book fans! Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do the countdown, everybody. Episode number 132, that's right fans, this is the show where I count down my least favorite comics of the week all the way to that top spot. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about 12 different comics, 11 altogether that are physical, one is digital. So let's jump into it, shall we? Now, there wasn't any comics that I really disliked this week. Maybe some were average, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good week. So let's start off with number 12. Number 12 this week for me was Saga. Chapter number 33. This time around, when it come to Saga, in this chapter, we've been floating around between characters or where they are to get the readers caught up with everything that's going on. And this time around, we have to deal with these two reporters that's going around here. And so they start doing their investigating of what's going on with Alana and Marco and whatnot. And it was a good issue, but it wasn't like my favorite issue with the series. The artwork is always solid, and we get to relive some things that happened with Alana's Marco's little dance girlfriend or whatnot in the issue, and it was okay. It wasn't the best issue. It was a little slow, not much action that happened. But at the end, if you do read the series, we come across the Will in this series, so he makes his return in the book. So the ending made it very promising. But this was a very slow read. Almost felt a little fillerish for me in many aspects of it. But Saga is always a really good book, and not every book can be like balls to the walls, jaw drop type of book. So after reading this one, I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 11, and number 11 was Hel Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. And what I'm noticing a lot about these books when it comes to these issue 4s or 5s or the beginning of these new story arcs, I'm starting to notice a trend of how the teams are starting to mesh more. They're coming together a lot better. We're seeing the formation, the final intricacies of the team being put together, and you kind of get to see that in this issue as well, as you get to see Dugan here trying to finish up this mission that they were doing when it came to this museum and these zombies that were exploding and things like that. The cool thing about Dugan, is that he's a life model decoy, and every time he gets killed, he has to replenish himself or get a new body to continue the mission. But when you see him all damaged and messed up, he kind of looks like the Terminator. And, the way the tone of this book is, it has that horrific feel. They got the different cast of characters in here. One of my favorite characters is Jasper the zombie, who is Dugan's probably his best friend back in the day when he was like this major war hero for S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatnot. And in this issue, we get to see them kind of recruit what her new name is Glyph now, and she had this connection with her brother, and her brother is working for Sphinx, which is this guy right here. So you get to see her join the team. She's now part of the team with Teen Abomination and whatnot. And again, the artwork tends to be really nice in this book. And if you like horror-like books, supernatural-like books, I think this is going to be a book for you. We see the person that was running Hel Commandos. We wind up seeing him. He goes crazy in the book, and he winds up getting arrested, which I thought was pretty neat. So you get to see the final things being put together here with Stake and everybody else, and where this book goes, I'm not really sure, but I like it. I think it's a good book. And now, it wasn't like phenomenal read, this story, but it's very different from what I've been reading in Marvel. So I gotta give this one probably a 3 1/4 out of 5 stars. Alright, so now we go on to number 10, and number 10 goes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 54. Last issue, we got to see Michelangelo team up with his mute animals, and it was a different bunch of mutant-like creatures that was joining with old Hob, and they were all working together to supposedly solve crime and whatnot. And Michelangelo thought that old Hob was up to maybe his old tricks, and he was spying on him. So what we find out is that old Hob in the book is kind of taking anything that he steals, anything that the bad guys steal, and when he arrests the bad guys, he keeps all the stuff for themselves. So his theory is, well, I'm not really stealing anything, I'm just, taking it from what they had. So Michelangelo doesn't agree with the whole situation, and we get to see a little bit of action that goes on in the issue too, again with I think it's Casey's dad in the book. We get to see Slash in here working with Michelangelo as well. Artwork is solid, colors are solid, but just like that, Michelangelo feels that he can't trust old Hob. They go their separate ways. Slash goes his separate ways, and it looks like there's no more team anymore, and it looks like Michelangelo is going to go back home to his friends. So after reading this one, I gave Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 54 3.25 out of 5 stars. It was a good book, but it wasn't like, again, anything that just blew my socks off. It kind of had you going for a little bit that Michelangelo was going to be with these guys for a while, which I kind of would have loved to seen, but that was never the case. Obviously, Michelangelo is going to eventually go back to his family. So again, 3.25 out of 5 stars from me. All right, so now we go on to issue number 9 of, issue number 4 of Carnage. That's right, guys. A little bit lower on the list as we get to see this story arc continue with these people chasing after Carnage in a mining facility, and Eddie Brock is tagging along with them. He's like their last resort secret weapon to try to stop Carnage in case everything goes wrong. Now, my only issue with this series is that how long can they stay under this mining facility for? Where is the direction of this book going to go after this story arc? I'm not really sure, and it's taking a kind of a weird turn for me. The book is very dark. It is very kind of gory and horrific-like. And in this issue, you wind up seeing, again, how creepy Carnage can really be at times. When it comes to the artwork like that, it's gorgeous. At other times, though, when it comes to maybe just the regular panels, it's not quite as articulate as I would like it, but nevertheless, it is good. Cletus Cassidy is a very funny character. He talks to this cult guy, and he's just like, oh, when the Red Slayer spills blood on sacred stone, he who sleeps shall wake, and what walked once will walk again. He goes, you boys are nuts. He goes, I love it, and so he's very much in character in the actual book, which I really like. But in this book, we find out that there's this cult personality that was supposed to kill the Red Slayer, and they were supposed to live eternally forever and whatnot. And what happens in the issue is it winds up going south for those cult guys, and the blood winds up spilling, but he winds up taking over all these people's bodies and whatnot. And I'll show you the page. In this issue, we finally get the release of Toxin in this book, and we finally get to see what he looks like in here, which I wasn't overly impressed. I thought he looked a little bit generic in the book, not as detailed as Carnage would be. And so, hold on one second. Got important text. So what happens is, like I said, he is not as detailed as I was like him, especially just as detailed as Carnage was. And so you can see he looks like a soldier or whatnot, but he helps his friends, Jay Jonah's son, and I think it was it Jamie, who is the leader in the actual book? Or is it, Manny, Manuela. But in the end, we wind up seeing Toxin coming to the building, and then what happens is that it's too late, and Carnage has already possessed all of these cult-like people and made them all into other Carnages. I feel like I've seen this before in other Carnage miniseries, and I hope it doesn't continue on this trend. And I want to see where the direction is going to go with this after this whole mining facility. Where is Carnage going to escape from? How are they going to continue to make this a solid ongoing series? Again, very dark, very creepy, but this is my concern with the title. But I am enjoying it. So after reading Carnage issue number 4, I gotta give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, so next we go on to number 8. And number 8 goes to Superman issue number 48. Now, this is one of the first times where I didn't hate Superman. This time around, we get to find out that Superman has a theory on a way of getting his powers back, and that is exposing him to a ton of kryptonite so if it can completely deplete his system and regenerate his solar cells back in his body, kind of like chemotherapy. And you get to see that in this issue. Good points in this issue was when we had the, they were kind of making fun of the presidential candidates. There's a guy that's supposed to be like Donald Trump in here that doesn't know how to talk. He sits there and he goes, I've built multiple businesses that are doing super with very few exceptions. And I, myself, am tremendously super tremendously. And the guy doesn't know how to talk in the book. And so I thought that was a poke at Donald Trump, and I thought it was hilarious. But we get to see Steve Trevor help Superman in this issue, trying to help him with his mission to, expose himself to that kryptonite. Him and Superman have some good interaction with each other on their relationships with Wonder Woman and why Clark is no longer with Wonder Woman. So after being exposed to this radiation of kryptonite, we get to see Hoarder Root's like brother Cyborg come through and infiltrate the base. They try to stop Superman before he can try to get his powers back. So what happens is Steve Trevor protects him in the refrigerator of kryptonite to try to, again, totally deplete his body until he's on the brink of death. And as you see through the issue, he becomes like a little skeleton, and he says, I think it's working. So he shoves him into this huge refrigerator and hoping that, again, he will get his powers back. My thing is I never would think that kryptonite would bring back his powers, and who's going to get him out of there? Because no matter what, he's going to die. So someone's got to pull him out there to get him exposed back to the sun again. So interesting stuff. I like the weird theory here, and I love the artwork is much better than when John Romita Jr. was on it, and it gives Superman fans hope that Superman is just right around the corner from coming back. So this one was pretty good. I gave this one a 3.75 out of 5. Alright, so now we go on to number 7, and number 7 this week goes to Daredevil issue number 3. This issue is action-packed this time around, as you get to see Matt Murdock go against the Hand, and the Hand is going after the Ten Finger Gang in this book. And yeah, it was pretty crazy, and he feels that he has to defend the Ten Finger Gang people because a lot of the people that follow Ten Finger are just normal civilians. They think it's like a religion. So he can't go against he can't fight with the Hand. He has to fight against them. So we get to see a lot of action big time in this issue, and you get to see Matt Murdock really fighting off the Hand in here, and you get to see the book show off its artwork. It's very dark, and it focuses on the colors of red and black. In here, we get to see Blind Spot do some of his stuff in here. Again, this is an action-packed, balls-to-the-walls type of issue. And in the end, we wind up seeing Matt Murdock, Ten Fingers, they all wind up defeating the Hand. Now, it doesn't mean that they're forming an alliance with each other. It just means that it's kind of like okay, don't follow this guy, and I'm just moving on. So as the issue progresses, we see that you find a little bit more out about Blind Spot. He is an illegal immigrant. Daredevil gives him a number to try to heal, to get himself repaired, because he doesn't want to get sent across the border again. And then on the Matt Murdock side of things is you wind up finding out that he gets demoted, from his district attorney position, and now he's just able to take minor cases. So when that's all done and said and over with, we wind up seeing when he goes back to his office, he winds up going into his elevator shaft office, and look who's waiting for him, and that is Ten Finger. And he goes to Matt Murdock and says, hey, listen, I heard on the streets that you think I'm a villain. And that's how the book ends. I love the artwork, I love the action, but not much really progressed the story in this particular issue. So that's why I kind of could not crack the top 5 this time around. So in the end, I gave this one a 3.75 as well, but it is a good series. Alright, next we go on to number 6, and number 6 goes on to Chew, issue number 54. Chew is wind up coming to the end here. We have 55 through 60 left, and this series will come to an end. I will be happy to say that I have every single issue of this series, including number 1. So this will be one of those series that will be worth money in the future, and I'm happy about it. John Layman has been the writer of this from the start, and Rob Guillory has been the artist from the start. So my hat's off to these guys for really knocking it out of the park. In this issue, we wind up finding out that Savoy, who was trying to align with Agent Chew, but they have this big history with each other, and Savoy wanted to kind of tie ends with him, cut all the loose ends. What was in the past was in the past, and try to work together to solve things of what's going on when it comes to this birdemic flu and whatnot, and all this alien writing in the sky, and all these final things that they have to tie up in the issue. Chew wanted nothing to do with it, so he feels like, okay, fine, he's going to be my worst enemy. So we wind up seeing Amelia, and she is Chew's wife in this book, and we find out that she's giving some important information to Chew in here, that whatever book that she writes, things come true. And let's just say that Agent Chew is on this mission. He winds up prevailing in this mission with these creatures called Chogs. And one exploded, destroyed this factory. And really, this whole time, he was just on this FDA mission. And what happens is, when he goes back home to meet up with his wife was dead. And we find out that Agent Savoy was behind this whole thing. And so there's times where this book has been really comical and really funny, but there's been really times where it's been really sad, as you get to see major players in this book get killed, and you get to see, I think it was his sister that gets killed. You wind up now seeing his wife that gets killed, and yeah, it's a really tough book, but it's a good book. And if you guys never read it, I definitely suggest read it in trade. It's awesome. So after this one, I gave this one, again, 3.75 out of 5 stars. It's just really hard for readers to get into it at this time. They're not going to read it from this point going forward. They just got to read the whole thing to know who these characters are. It's even a hard book to explain. So, again, 3.75 out of 5. All right, now we crack on to the top 5. And number 5 goes to Savage Dragon, issue number 211. This book was really good, as it proves to be a good jumping on point for new readers, as we get to see Malcolm Dragon on his first day on the job. He just graduated from the police academy. We get to see Maxine and him come back from his honeymoon. He finds out that his ex-girlfriend was dead. She was pregnant with his child. He's got a baby running around. He's got another baby due, and then you find out that the dragon species can live upon conception. So even if you were to have an abortion, the baby could live, because it's just a bunch of cells, and then eventually it would form into a child. And you find out that's what happened with Malcolm Dragon's stepsister, because him, his stepsister, his fiance at the time, and his ex-girlfriend all had a foursome, and it all wound up coming out that they have kids. So now it's going to happen where Malcolm Dragon's going to have 3 kids in the book. The artwork is really good. You get to see him battle again on the first day on the job, which is really neat. Eric Larson goes into great detail with his action scenes in the book as well. And what this book does is it catches up on the readers of everything that's happened. Whether he went to school, him graduating from the police academy, he tells everything to his father, because his father has been in jail. And by him telling his father, he explains everything to the reader at the same time. So that's why I felt that this was a great jumping on point for the readers out there. And again, Malcolm Dragon finds out that he has 3 kids, 1 on the way and 2 were running around. So interesting stuff here. So now they're going to need more baby stuff. So this will be a great direction to see where Malcolm, how he deals with these children. We really didn't get to see that in the original Savage Dragon series when Malcolm was a kid. We never see him get raised by babies. He's got to deal with 3 kids, so insane stuff. But I love Savage Dragon. Again, it's a personal preference. I don't know it's for everybody, but I personally enjoyed it as I've read this series from its conception of Image Comics. So in the end, I give this one, issue number 211, I give this one 4 stars. I thought it was a good read, and this is one of the only series out there that has its characters age in real time. It's great. It's a fun series. All right, so moving forward now, we're going to go on to number 4. And number 4 this week goes to a book that I was hoping that would improve when it got to its new story arc. And if I can show it to you, and I didn't get it on physical copy because I don't know why a comic store didn't get it, but it was Avengers, all new, all different Avengers, issue number 4. And here we get to see Thor and Sam Wilson share a kiss. And the cover is not misleading. That actually happens in this actual book. But that's not what made the book good this time. Like I said earlier when it came to Hel Commandos, this shows a team that's starting to gel, that's starting to come together. And for the first time, I felt like as a reader that these people interacted the way they should have in this series. And the first time in this book, it opens up with Jarvis. And Jarvis is waking up, and his wife is like, "Oh, hope you have a good day on the job." And you get to see him driving, and it says, "Welcome to New Jersey, the Garden State." And you're kind of like, "Oh, where's he going?" And it tells you it goes to Stark Industries airfield, and it's condemned. And he shows up there, he knocks on the door, and the next thing you wind up seeing is that it's Avengers headquarters. So I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. They're like the broke or the ghetto Avengers, because it's just like they have basically no money, and the introduction is just Tony Stark showing Jarvis everything that's really going on, how the office are, how he was able to take a few things, like it came to like a basic desk and a chair and a computer and some cell phones and a mini refrigerator and a microwave. And I thought that was great. I mean, it really grounds this team that had everything at their disposal at one time and to basically nothing. And so I was just like, wow. And then the interactions between, Miss Marvel and Miles was great as they saw Vision, and they're like, wow, I can't believe it's really him. It's like he was married to the Scarlet Witch, and they're just like, they can't believe that they're working with all these characters, and I thought it was great. And then you get to see them do like their real first mission together as the Avengers team. You get to see them go against this guy called the Cyclone, and then you wind up seeing Thor. She winds up showing up in the issue, and they do this battle against this kind of like this C-rated villain character. And even though it was like a C-rated villain character, it didn't take away from the issue whatsoever. It was all about the characters in this book, where I didn't feel the last story arc really didn't have anything to do with the characters. They were just going against this Harbinger character, and they were kind of all over the place, and they didn't mesh well. And I thought the artwork was a little bit more polished this time around. And then you get to see Miss Marvel jack this guy in the face, and you get to see them all work together to take out this character. And they were very successful in this mission. And just with Thor just being all upbeat, she's like, "Oh, today it's looked like we were heroes in combat." And Miss Marvel was just like, "Thor's kind of very high-spirited today, you know?" And it was really good. And then Sam was kind of upset because people didn't give him the kind of like the satisfaction that they need, like the appreciation, for helping him and saving the day. And then kind of just Thor shares a kiss with Sam Wilson, and he's kind of just like in awe. He couldn't believe it. He was just like, "Oh, wow, I just kissed the goddess," and she's just like, "Oh, you certainly taste like I would imagine a Captain America to taste," and it was cool. She just flew off, and it wasn't like, it doesn't mean that they're getting together. It was just a thing. She acted on impulse, and that's all it was. It doesn't mean anything else more than that. So it was a really cool issue, and it was really fun. And for the first time, I thought Mark Waid equaled that Free Comic Book Day issue when it comes to all new, all different Marvel or Avengers. So, and then the next one, it has me really interested because basically it just says Miss Marvel Avenger no more. So I'm interested to see where that one actually goes, like why they kick her off the team and whatnot. So nevertheless, though, much improved series now, and I feel like now it's starting to get into its own. So, and this is the book that I hope that Mark Waid would be writing. So in the end, I gave this one a 4.25 out of 5 stars. This is much improved. All right, so now we go on to number 3. And number 3 this week, guys, goes to Spider-Woman issue number 3. This was, again, another issue that really could have went south for me for this series, or it could have improved. Because Spider-Woman in this issue, Jessica, she was trapped in this black hole on this maternity ward that is provided by Alpha Fright. And they're being attacked by Skrulls. And you see all these pregnant people on here and whatnot. And it was a cool issue because you wind up seeing that she's kind of only the superhero on here. And she's got to kind of save the day. She's got to save all the people. She's got to locate this scientist to find a way to open up this get them out of this black hole and open up these portals. And she's super duper pregnant. Like, she's going to have this kid like any single day now. And you get to see her explore the base. The artwork is real kooky and weird. I mean, she comes out of this room over here and she sees this big gigantic creature. And it was just insane. And the dialogue is awesome because it's just like they also have to find this Skrull prince because they want this Skrull prince to so they can rule the world again. And so Miss Marvel feels that it's imperative for her to rescue him so he doesn't get corrupted. And you get to see him. He's in the cancer patient ward, and he's like playing Xbox and shit. And he's like, "All right, I'll go with you, but can I get my granola bars?" And she's like, "Yeah, okay." So he goes and gets his granola bars. They're walking down the stairs with each other, and then he's like, You're that Avenger." And she's like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "You're the one with the butt." And it's just like, and it's Marvel poking fun at that issue with Jessica Drew with her ass in the air, and I thought that was just so great. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And she's acting on impulse based off of her baby, which his baby's telling her by kicking. She pulls out the guns as the Skrulls are about to come through, and then she goes into labor, and you're just like, oh shit. And then you wind up seeing as the Skrull prince has to rescue her as the Skrulls come through. This was a great book. This was so much improved. One of the best issues I've read in a long time with Spider-Woman, because Jessica was Jessica in here. She was tough. She did not want to stop. She was being her stubborn self. She was the hero that we know that she can be. You know what I'm saying? And this was an awesome issue, so I really liked it. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed this one. All right, so now we go on to number 2, and number 2 goes to Extraordinary X-Men issue number 6. Once again, I felt like that this team really came into its own in this particular issue, as Jeff Lemire is now starting to show the readers what he's trying to accomplish here. And he's trying to, get this team to be cohesive. And we wind up seeing that our X-Men have to go to Weird World, and they have to rescue missing mutants and bring them back to X-Haven, which is in limbo. Now that we get to see Logan into the universe now, he talks like, how he expresses himself on like how things were in the wastelands and things like that, because I don't think they want to really give away so much in the first story arc because Old Man Logan wasn't out yet. But we get to see different personalities from our X-Men. We get to see Colossus, who wants to help people. We get to see Nightcrawler, who's depressed based off of what happened in the introductory story arc. We get to see Bobby and Logan's relationship as they continue to rag on each other by, Logan calling him Snowball and Bobby sitting there going, hey, man, don't forget your denture and your freaking diaper rash cream, And it's just funny stuff. And you get to see Ileana trying to, explore more of her powers. And we're getting to learn about more of these younger generation of X-Men, which you might be seeing another Generation X in the future. We wind up seeing, Colossus again taking people under his wing, and just great character interactions in this book, which I thought was really nice. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of this book, you wind up seeing that they come and they rescue these mutants, and you find out that one of these mutants is Sunfire. And you're just like, holy shit, dude, that's freaking crazy. Sunfire? Like, I haven't seen that dude in forever. But when you look at the roster of this team and the way these characters are interacting with each other, they, they feel like more of an uncanny X-Men group. Like the X-Men we saw from issue number 100 and on, from what we've been reading for years and years. I mean, look at the team. You have Storm, you have Iceman, you have Colossus in there from that team, Nightcrawler, you have Jean Grey, but it's a young version of Jean Grey, kind of like she was, and then you have Wolverine, which is Logan. So you have a lot of people in there that are the same, and now you're pushing Sunfire into it, which he was in that, giant size X-Men issue number 1. So there's a lot of elements that bring back to that original series, and if they can stay on that path, I think this could be the top X-Men book out there. So Jeff Lemire did a great job on this one. I gave this one a 4 3/4 out of 5 stars. All right. And number 1 for this week goes to Old Man Logan issue number 1. This was a phenomenal read. Now, Sorrentino's artwork on Jeff Lemire's Green Arrow, it worked for the book. I liked it. And then when Sorrentino's artwork wound up coming across the artwork here on the Secret Wars book, it didn't work for me. But I think it was more of the story than anything. Too much stuff going on. But here we found out what happens to Logan after Secret Wars. And that's what made it so well done. There was White, and then he came into the world. He was kind of trying to find out what was going on, and he finds out now he's in this Earth. And he's being attacked by the police. He's trying to get his memories, and as the issue progresses, he does. He realizes where he came from. He came from the wastelands. The villains took over everything. They destroyed everything in his past. And now he is sent from the future to the present to try to stop everything that's going on. That's his purpose. That's his goal. That's what he wants to try to do. And you get to see good flashbacks in here on his son. And the book does a great job at explaining everything that happened in the first Old Man Logan trade or story. And you don't have to read that story to understand what's going on here. But if you need to read it, I think you should. I haven't read it yet. I have it. I just haven't had a chance to read it, and I want to read it. But you get to see these flashbacks, and you get to see the way the wastelands were. One of the best pages on here was this helicarrier that was in the dirt, and it's this city that is built around it. And I thought that was brilliant. And we get to see Old Man Logan holds back his violence in here by this guy by the name of Butcher that was terrorizing his son. But when he gets slant into the present, he comes across this Butcher as we get to see Old Man Logan returns. I mean, this is kind of like his return into the Marvel universe, and they use this picture to, like Black Knight Returns, which I thought was awesome. And he comes across this Butcher, and it's very violent. He sits there, slices his arm off, and he sits there and he goes, "This is for slapping my kid." And he takes the claws and goes right through the bottom of his chin, and he just kills him. And you get to see that he creates this list on his arm of the people that he needs to take out so the future that he lived in does not happen. And I thought it was brilliant. The way the story was told was absolutely outstanding. The pacing was great. The flashbacks were where they needed to be. The artwork was gorgeous. It wasn't overdone. Sorrentino's artwork shines on big pictures, bigger panels, but when it gets smaller, that's when it becomes a problem. But here it worked. Hopefully they keep up the pace. And by far, this was easily my #1 pick of the week. And there you have it, guys. So, you've seen the worst, you've seen the best, and you've seen all that other stuff in between. So now it's your turn, the fans, to put your comments in below on what your favorite comics of the week were. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until the next comic book review, this has been The Countdown, episode number 132. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.